Welcome back to the podcast and to the latest Chelsea Academy match report, where we're going to be taking a look back at the under-21s game last night against Shrewsbury Town in the EFL Trophy. Unfortunately ran out 3-1 losers, but doesn't mean there weren't positives to take. Plenty of positives to talk about, particularly Shim Mhueka, who grabbed his 5th goal of the season already. 5 goals in 3 games for the under-21s. One of just many positives to talk about from this incredibly talented young group of players. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. We do cover the academy in extensive detail, as well as the first team, match reports, weekly roundups. There is plenty of Chelsea content dropping every week on this channel, so make sure you stay plugged in. But let's get right into it, and we will talk about the front before. We will talk about the top of the pitch first, because uncharacteristically so, it was quite poor for a couple of the Chelsea defenders. A couple of the Chelsea backline didn't really have great games. Caden Wilson, Gagas Lanina, 2 players I rate incredibly highly, but didn't cover themselves in glory yesterday. Harrison Murray-Campbell, however, did have a fantastic game, and both of the fullbacks I thought were particularly impressive in the first half. But going forward was where the majority of positives to talk about were. I think we've already mentioned Shim Mhueka. Go back and watch my last match report for the game against Newcastle. He was phenomenal, Shim Mhueka, against both Man City and Newcastle. I think his work rate, the way he leads from the line, he is currently captaining the under-21s, and he is doing so by example. He leads by example on and off the ball. Work rate is sublime. He is an all-round striker in so many different senses of the word, and while it wasn't the most glamorous finish, while it wasn't a fantastic perler from 20 yards, it was a striker's finish, it was a striker's goal, it was a fantastic move to get off the mark against Shrewsbury. Just 10 minutes in, we started really well. Really good ball off the left from Kian Best. This is the first time I think I've seen Kian Best since he joined the club from Preston North End. He looked very impressive, very tidy on the ball. Interested to see a lot more of him. He played, we played 3 at the back, 3-4 in midfield, so he was on the left of the 4, played more of a left wing back, left winger, getting up very high. Great delivery for the goal, looked very tidy on the ball, very interested to see a lot more of Kian Best. But it was on the other side that I was particularly impressed, and this is a player that I've been really impressed with so far in the 3 games. Leo Cardoso, I thought, had a really good game yesterday, and while there are a few things, he's a little bit ill-disciplined. He needs to just kind of keep his head screwed on a little bit more. At the end of the day, these are 16, 17 years old. So I'm not going to sit here and question attitude, mentality. If you're this age and you're at Chelsea, you're good enough to do it, and you've got the mental, you've got the attitude to be able to perform and to be able to do it. If you didn't, you wouldn't be playing for this team. So I can't sit here and criticise that. But technically speaking, I don't know what he's been doing in the off-season. He looks like Usain Bolt. He is so quick on the turn. It helps that he's very small. So, he's nippy, he's nifty, he can get in and around. He can, as we always used to say with Eden Hazard, low centre of gravity allows you to turn a little bit quicker, allows you to pin your defender. But Leo Cardoso is, I think he's 18 or 19, plays for the Portuguese under-19s. Incredibly talented young winger. And when you have these players coming off the bench, like Jesse Derry, and players that have just come back from injury, like Dujuan Richards, I'm struggling. I think there's a case for playing anyone across the front 3. There are certain players that I prefer and I think do deserve their chance a little bit more. Ryan Kavuma-McQueen, one of them. But I think Cardoso, it's got to a point where this kind of Chelsea front line is virtually interchangeable, and you have these incredibly talented players who all know their roles. You look down in the under-18s, and then you've got players like Yaya Idrissi, Ibrahim Rabaj, who are looking to make that step up. But we're running out of spaces in the team. This Chelsea side has so many brilliant young attackers. And Leo Cardoso, I thought, was excellent last night. Definitely one of the better games that I've seen from him. But having said that, I think he started this season really well. Had a really good driving run. I think it was against Man City in the first game. Really good driving run early doors. Nearly scored an incredible goal. He looks full of confidence, full of pace. Looks incredibly fit, incredibly healthy. I'm very excited to see a lot more of Leo Cardoso this season. And Ryan Kavuma-McQueen, similarly. He's one that undoubtedly is one to watch for a call-up. I think he's definitely not far off. If Shim, Reggie Walsh, Genesis Antwi, there are multiple players in this under-21 setup that have got their call-up last season. I think this season, Kavuma McQueen, Landon Emanalo, I think McMahon might start a couple more, or might get into the squad for a couple more games. Ollie Harrison as well really impressed me against Shrewsbury. I think he was getting frustrated last night because he was being asked to... to thread it together, and it was a particularly difficult opposition, being that Shrewsbury League One, been professionals for years. They had some players in there like Clucas who have been Premier League players. They know what it takes, even if they're not Premier League quality now. All due respect to Shrewsbury, they are professionals who have played the game and understand what it means to play the game for so long now that it is ingrained in them. And you could see that, I think we gave it as good as we got for about 30 minutes. And then you could start to see the physicality kind of catch up to the youngsters. And I think that's one thing that we all take for granted when watching football. I don't think you appreciate how quick the game is and how, split second some of these decisions are. And, when it's about getting back into your shape, being organised, a team like Shrewsbury, I'm going to have massive upper hand over a team like Chelsea. I think, technically speaking, ability-wise, we could probably go toe-to-toe. A lot of those under-21s, I don't think would look out of place in a League One or a Championship side this or next season. But that being said, you can see after about 30, 35 minutes what it means and what it takes to be to play senior football, to play men's football. It is a big step up. And one thing that we've got to remember, particularly when talking about call-ups and all these players that we want to see, put forward to the first team, the majority of these guys are 16 to 18 years old. You are not fully developed. You will not be fully developed as a man, as an individual, as a human for the next 10 years. So there is no need to rush these players. And I am very, very happy that Chelsea essentially have a team that could compete in the Championship in League One. Essentially a B team. It's no longer, I feel, an academy team. It's got to the point where these guys... And yes, there are other brilliant academy teams like Man City, but we saw what Chelsea did to Man City last week. This Chelsea under-21 team can compete with senior teams and definitely can go toe-to-toe with teams such as Shrewsbury. But there is obviously, it is not all in the technical details. It is in the physicality, in the organisation, the experience, small things like that. Make all the difference at the top of the game. And I think that's what it was last night. I think, we were undone a little bit by over-reliance on playing out from the back. That was the reason for the second goal. Caden Wilson, I think, had a pass intercepted. Marquise, whatever his name is, scored. And then the third goal, set piece. Another one where Chelsea are always going to be at a disadvantage from set pieces to a team like Shrewsbury. Like I said, physicality, experience... they were always going to be the opportunity Shrewsbury had if they were down or if they were still drawing. That was always going to be the chance to get a goal back. And, it's a learning curve for a lot of these Chelsea players. I think, like I said, while they did give as good as they got for 30 minutes, I think a lot of them would have been in for a reality check and would have started blowing before the half-time and thought, I've done a lot more running than I'm used to. Why? The football hasn't been as good. It's been more in the air. We've had 70% possession, which I think was another good thing. I think it was high 60s, low 70s in possession. Kept the ball very, very well. And that was one thing that while I thought it was our downfall or we kind of played into their hands later in the game, that's one thing that I do really like about this Chelsea side already under Callum McFarlane. 3 games in, we look like our ability to control the game looks a lot stronger than it did last season. Whether we go 1-0 up and just kind of sit back, keep possession, whether it is still 0-0 and we are just kind of controlling the game, seeking out our opportunity, probing, rather than going kitchen sink, throwing everything we have at the wall. And it did kind of get like that for the last 5-10 minutes last night, but not really kind of helter-skelter. It was never kind of chaotic. And I don't think Chelsea under-21s would have expected to be able to come back. I think if you're Shrewsbury, you're thinking you've got the experience, the know-how to see it out. But I think across the park, very, very good. And while, I said there, Caden Wilson, I think his, misplaced pass, definitely. And while I said there, Caden Wilson definitely didn't have one of his better games. I think his partner in crime, Harrison Murray-Campbell, was excellent. I think his passing. I did a double take halfway through the second half because I remembered that the free kick he scored last week or against Newcastle was with his right foot. And I'd been watching this guy absolutely spray passes, crossfield passes from centre-back with his left foot for 60 minutes. And then he did it with his right. And I thought, hang on a minute. I swear he's right foot. And he is equally good. Maybe not equally, but very, very good on his left. And, obviously right-footed player. To be a centre-back, to be both-footed, that's incredibly useful. And I think with Enzo Mhueka talking about Chelsea looking internally for a centre-back replacement for Levi Colwill, if there's a player that I trust in the youth system to do that centre-back role, to sit deep, and is also able to play both left and right, Harrison Murray-Campbell has already been called up to the first team. I don't know whether he got his first minutes last season, but he definitely got called up to the bench in the Conference League. And yeah, I think he, along with Kavuma McQueen, Emanalo, Ollie Harrison, he will be one of the next to be called up into the first team. Another player that returned, and this is the first time I've seen him in a while, was Richard Elise, back at right wing back. Yes, he is Michael's younger brother, and he is equally tidy on the ball. If you saw him on the pitch, you would not think he was a fullback or a defender. Very, very good, very, very skillful. Very tidy feet. He switched to the left. I think when Emanalo came off. When Emanalo came off. When Kean Best came off and Genesis Antwi came on, Richard Elise went down the other side. He had a couple of opportunities. He wasn't as good on the left. I think he was a bit quieter. He's obviously natural right back. But again, he's another player with multiple great attributes. I think he puts in a fantastic delivery. Like I said, he's very tidy on the ball. He's not scared of going one-on-one and beating his man. But he's got a very tidy delivery. He got in a couple of really good advanced positions for crosses off the left from, I think, Kavuma McQueen had one, which was a really, really good opportunity. And it was a really, really good save from the Shrewsbury keeper. But also, I think he got on the end of one from Kean Best, or maybe it was a slide rule pass from one of the midfield. I'm not sure. But he got in an advanced position within the Shrewsbury box a couple of times. And he's a marauding right. But, Chelsea have always had a great track record with fullbacks. Richard Elise is another one that I think is very, very solid and has a great future ahead of him. Emanalo on the other side, I can't sing this guy's praises highly enough. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He will undoubtedly get a call up this season. He plays 10 years above his age range, so calm and assured on the ball, and at just 16, 17 years old, whichever one he is physically imposing. Whereas, a lot of these Chelsea youngsters, Leo Cardoso, absolutely tiny. This guy is a unit, and he is able to go up against, I think he marked his man phenomenally last night. And one of the better physical battles, I think, or one of the few players that got the better of his opposition in a physical sense. Landon Emanalo, sky's the limit for this kid. Ryan Kavuma McQueen had a solid hour, hit the bar in the second half. Unfortunately didn't get that goal, but not for lack of trying, and he will undoubtedly get quite a few this season. This is a kid that is incredibly confident, and I don't want to talk about his shots today. I want to talk about his left foot, because he plays on the left, and I talked last week about the connection between Landon Emanalo and Ryan Kavuma McQueen. Some great weighted pass down the left. Kavuma McQueen has the pace and the ability to get inside and to get a shot on. But he's also got a fantastic left foot, and he put in a great cross yesterday. Kean Best, his assist for Shim Mhueka was fantastic, but Ryan Kavuma McQueen did a very, very similar one, where I think actually he also provided a little slide rule assist for Shim Mhueka, but Shim was offside. But the one that I'm talking about, it was a long pass. It was first time, I'm pretty sure. Ball came up to him on the outside. First time he swept it into Elise, and the keeper made a great save. Elise maybe could have been a little bit more convincing with the finish. But that's one thing that really impressed me last night, was Kavuma McQueen's ability to do it on both sides, both feet. We've seen the pros and the cons of having a specialist, a one-footed winger, if you will, in Bukayo Saka. He's never going to be able to go down the right, never going to be able to put the ball in on his right side, similar to Noni Madueke, and that's one reason why Noni Madueke didn't work out. This Chelsea team, this Enzo Mhueka team, he wants players that are able to plug and play, to go left side, switch to right if you need. You need to be able to tweak, need to be able to move around. And Ryan Kavuma McQueen is definitely one of them. I think in the formation that I saw, he was playing as kind of a second 10 or a left 10. in the inside half space. Twitter tacticos, tell me all my terms are wrong now, please. I don't know, but this is a kid that can definitely play 2 or 3 roles. I think winger is undoubtedly his best position, but to me, he's a player that can do it off both wings. And he always wants to create a chance, always wants to get the ball in the box, always wants to get a shot off when it's possible. And yeah, that's something that I love to encourage with these youth players. When you see a player that's that confident in their own ability, fantastic. Shim Mhueka had a lot of work to do and not much service. But let's just talk about his goals for a minute. He's scored 5 goals now in 3 games. The first 3, obviously, in the first game against Man City. 2 great headers, both 2 very different headers. The first one, strong loop-in header. The second one, more of a bullet header. The third one was a great solo goal, long ball over the top from Harrison Murray-Campbell. He bullied the defender out of the way and slotted it past the keeper. This goal today against Shrewsbury was more of a poacher's finish. It was more about being in the right place at the right time. But that's kind of what I like best about Shim Mhueka, is his ability to score every type of goal. And it's very promising. It's very positive. There's nothing bad that I can sit here and say about Shim Mhueka. I think the form that he started this year in is superb. The range of goals that he scores, really, really, really positive. And the fact that he's doing it as captain and not just leading the line by example on the ball, but off it. I think his work rate, his hustle, superb. As I said, Chelsea gave it as good as they got for about half hour yesterday. Shim did not. Shim gave it as good as he got the entirety of his. I think he came off 70-odd minutes for Mhueka. He gave it as good as he got the entirety of the game. And to be fair, Chelsea Mhueka did really well when he came on. I thought a couple of nice little flicks. And also, he got on and put himself about as well. But, at the end of the day, it was just a game of, I say so often that the Premier League Chelsea games is games of fine margins. And it shows that even in League One, it's a game of fine margins. We got undone by set pieces and physically. We got stuck in early doors, but it just, as I said, as time wore on, the gap kind of just increased and you did start to see a little bit of disillusionment in the Chelsea team. Like I said, Ollie Harrison getting a little bit frustrated with the lack of options ahead of him. Reggie Walsh came on at half-time and he strings the ball together. He strings the play together so well. And it was a really great ball. I think Shim was slightly offside. We don't have the benefit of VAR or an angle to watch it back, but I think Shim was slightly offside. But the second goal that we scored, the offside goal, it was a really lovely slide rule pass from Reggie Walsh, and then great first time little ball from Kevin McQueen. The moves are there, the connections, the triangles you want to see, they are being built very early on in this season, and I have nothing but high hopes for this year. Obviously, the EFL Trophy, I think it's a group stage, so we got 2 more. I think we got Northampton and Walsall before. I don't know how many games we have to win. I'm assuming it's going to have to be 2, given that we've lost our first one. But fingers crossed they can still progress in the EFL Trophy. But obviously the under-21s will now be looking forward to, I think it's Villa next this weekend, and then a couple of UEFA Youth Cup games on the horizon as well. So it won't be long until we're back at Kingsmeadow. I think we've got a couple more away games to get through, but we will be back at Kingsmeadow very, very soon, and fingers crossed I'll be able to give you an even more in-depth match report for those games. But yeah, let us know what you think. If you did manage to watch the game, who are you most impressed with? Who are you hoping to see get their call up to the Chelsea first team this season? Make sure to stay tuned for more great Chelsea content, whether it's first team or academy. You're going to find it right here on the Two Blues podcast. Follow at Two Blues podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok. And until then, you'll see us very, very soon. But until then, up the Chelsea!